Okay, so I thought what I would do, at least try out here, and if people um, get something out of this, let me know, and then I'll continue to make these videos. But what I thought I would do is um, let's again just remind everyone of my relationship to the homework questions. Um, I did not choose them. I did not write up even the answer key, surprisingly. That was someone else. Um, I say that only because there there is a file written, and that's made available to you after the homework is submitted. Um, in my opinion, I think there should be a video as well where someone kind of talks you through why an answer is correct. So that's my intent in making all these videos. So I'm going to start all the way back at the beginning, Module 1, Chapter 4. So let's just start with that. We're going to be doing here number 3, 6, 8, 10, and 11. Let's click on the file here to open it up so we know what we're working on. Okay, so we are starting with number 3 here. So here we've got a market for minivans, and then we have things happening, events happening. So this again is called comparative statics. And what you ask yourself with each of these events in number 3 is it comes down to kind of a process here. You have to ask yourself, sorry, my handwriting is horrible here, which curve is affected? That's the first question. And then two, basically, how is it affected? Is it shifting to the left or to the right? And so with each of these, before you even just start going crazy and start drawing graphs and getting lost in it, what I think it might be useful for you to do is just on the side start to write out which curve is affected, and then we'll add an arrow. So what would happen if people decide to have more kids? Does that affect the production of the minivans, or does that affect the consumption of the minivans? If it's a consumption question, then it's demand. If it's a production side, then it's supply. Well, this would be you have more kids, so you need to buy more minivans. So this is going to affect demand. So we're just going to answer this first question here first. A strike by steel workers raises steel prices. Is that going to affect supply or demand? So in this case here, if steel prices are going up, right, because of the strike, then what we're going to see affected here um, is the supply curve. Engineers develop a new automated machinery that's affecting the production side, so that's supply. The price of sport utility vehicles rise. So, in terms of what's the relationship of a sport utility vehicle to a minivan? Well, those are substitutes for one another. So that's going to be a demand side. Stock market crash lowers people's wealth. Well, that would be the people buying it. So that's going to affect demand. And then we ask ourselves, how is it affected? So if people decide to have more children, demand would go up. If we have a strike by steelworkers, that would generally mean that supply is going down. New automated machinery that kind of makes your workers more productive. That's going to increase supply. If sport utility vehicles rise, if the price of sport utility vehicles rise, then people will buy less sport utility vehicles and more minivans. So that's up. Stock market crash lowers wealth. Well, assuming that this is a normal good, lower wealth means fewer minivans. Okay, now let's go to the file here. Okay, so here, geez, this is a horrible way to look at it. class, I'm sorry that it looks so horrible here. You basically drew two graphs, and it's just lazy. Sorry, it's just really lazy. Okay. Supply is not affected. Demand will increase. Yeah, so it's shifting out. Strike by steelworkers causes minivans, decreases the supply curve. So that would be like this right here. So that's our supply decrease. Um, New machinery, which increases the supply curve. So that would be graphed out like that, where it's shifting out. And increase in demand for minivans as the sport utility vehicles increases. So that would be demand increases. That's this graph right here. And then finally, people buying more minivans. That's the demand curve. Sorry, did I misread this? Oh, no, I didn't. Demand going down, which would mean demand is decreasing. So that would be. I don't see a picture for it. Figure 15. Here we go. Decrease in demand. Okay. Jeez, that was rough. Let's go to number 6 here. Okay, same thing. Ask yourself the two questions, right? Which curve is affected? It may be both. So far, we're just seeing one being affected. And then in what direction is it affected? So if we're looking at sweatshirts, so a hurricane happens and damages the cotton crops. Cotton is one of the inputs that's used to make sweatshirts. So that would be, is it affecting the demand? No, it's affecting the supply, meaning the production of the sweatshirts. So that would be supply. Price of leather jackets fall. So sweatshirts and leather jackets, they're related in terms of their consumption. One could presumably buy one or the other. So this is a demand story. All colleges require more exercise and appropriate attire. Jeez, what prudes. um, so if that's the case, I'm guessing a sweatshirt is appropriate. I'm guessing. So that'd be a demand story. New knitting machines are invented. Presumably, these knitting machines are more efficient or productive. So it becomes a supply story. And then again, the second question. Second question is all about how is it affected? So this would mean a crop being destroyed. That's going to be demand going down. Leather jackets falling. Fewer people are going to buy the more expensive sweatshirts. Morning exercise and appropriate attire, demand's going to have to go up because now people are going to have to buy these sweatshirts that are more respectable, I guess. New knitting machines are invented. That would be the supply going up. So again, as we look at this, we see those relevant graph shifting. First, supply curve decreasing, then demand curve decreasing. Doesn't matter how much you shift it. You could shift it a lot or little. There's no natural reason why it had to be this little. Here, demand is shifting out because people are buying more sweatshirts because they have to be appropriate. And then finally, we have our supply curve shifting out because these new knitting machines are being used. Okay, let's now look at number 10. So in number 10, we have two goods that are used together with each other, bagels and cream cheese. We have to decide which of these would cause the equilibrium price of cream cheese to rise and the equilibrium quantity of bagels to also rise. Okay. So if these are complements, what that means is that buying more of one, you need to buy more of the other. So what happens if I drop the price of flour? That would mean the um, in the bagel market, there's my demand, there's my supply. If the flour is getting cheaper, supply will shift out, causing equilibrium price to fall, quantity to rise. So more people would buy bagels, and then they would also need to buy more cream cheese. What about a fall in the price of milk? In that case, here's my demand, here's my supply. A fall in the price of milk will cause this to go down. Now people will have more cream cheese, which would presumably mean they need more bagels. But see, one of the problems here is that so if you look at these two graphs, you'd be like, well, in both of these cases, um, equilibrium price of cream cheese is falling, as it is in this graph here, which is my cream cheese market. In the top graph, my equilibrium quantity of bagels is rising. But to get both of them, if people are buying more cream cheese, then the demand shifts out for bagels. In other words, for cream cheese, it looks like this, and then for bagels, sorry, it's just really slow right now. Okay, I'm not sure why it's taking forever to write. In the bagel market, the demand curve would shift out because more people have to buy more of it because the cream cheese is becoming more expensive. So it's really got to be the price of flour issue that's going to drive a good deal of this. Let's go here. Oh, sorry, I must have skipped number 8. I'm sorry, you've been listening to this the whole time, and then I didn't. I skipped 8. Sorry about that. I'll have to go back to it. And so you see this right here. That this you see this story here where the supply curve shifting out for bagels causes more bagels to be purchased, which in turn does cause people to buy more cream cheese, which is how you get that increase in the price. of cream cheese, which was the goal of what we were trying to look for. And then in the second one, in the second part to this for number 10, what we see is if we want to get, let's go back to here, sorry. If we want to see that the equilibrium price of cream cheese is rising and the quantity of bagels is falling, I can basically repeat this. So, is this going to come from the rise in the price of flour or the rise in the price of milk? So, as the question kind of highlights here, what happens if the price of milk rises? Then what we would see is that in terms of cream cheese, that we would see a um, increase in the price of cream cheese and in the um, a reduction in the demand of cream cheese, um, and we see that right here. What ends up happening is that because the milk is becoming more expensive, less cream cheese is purchased. That in turn would cause a decrease um, in the bagel market for the quantity demanded, because now there's just less cream cheese to be put together with it. And that's how we get this argument that the rise in the price of milk causes both the increase in the price of cream cheese and a decline in the quantity. And you see that right here. And not to make your life confusing, it then puts for number 11, throws that graph right there. But let's not worry about that yet. Let's go back to number 8. Six. So in 8, looks like we're just plotting out these points. And then we need to just to talk about how we get towards the equilibrium. So here are the points plotted out. And you would just be able to do that from the chart. And now it should be pretty simple. At the price of $6, sorry, the thing won't let me draw anymore in Word. But $6 is above. So let's go here. At the price of $6, we can see that the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Um, if the price were above $6, so let's say $7, what you can continually see is that the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded. And that's exactly what you would write here. Here, what happens if it's below the equilibrium price, such as here, 4 and 5, then what you see is that the quantity demanded, is greater than the quantity supplied. And that's exactly what you would put here. Okay. And then we're up to number 11, the last one for this. So in number 11, first thing we need to do is just draw the graph. What you notice here in drawing it out is that the supply curve is completely vertical at 8,000 tickets. Why would that be? Because it's probably a set stadium that has a certain number of seats that can be sold. So the supply is always 8,000 no matter what the price, because they can just basically fill the stadium. Now the demand curve is going to be downward sloping. If we try to look at the graph of this, yeah, it looks like this, which is completely vertical at 8,000 with a downward sloping demand curve. Then it asks us to find the equilibrium price. That would be where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. And that would look to be at $8. At $8, we have quantity supplied of 8,000 and quantity demanded of 8,000. And then in C, your college plans to increase total enrollment by 5,000 students. Um, and what that does is it alters in my demand curve. So I now need to replace these numbers with these numbers. And we just are asked to find the new equilibrium price and quantity. So if you redraw out that graph or that table, what you would see now is that the equilibrium price is at 12, where my quantity supplied equals my quantity demanded. And that would be still at 8,000 tickets, which was the capacity of the stadium. Okay. I do truly hope that this video kind of helped explain even a little bit further the answers for chapter 4.